Look at a photo of twins right now. Maybe you know a pair. Maybe you are one. Two people, same face, same birthday, probably matching Halloween costumes at some point. In America, twins are a kind of magic. People stop strollers on sidewalks to stare. Strangers ask if they can take photos. Parents of twins get a special kind of respect, like they survived something extraordinary and came out the other side with two of everything. There are twin festivals, twin registries, entire research centers dedicated to studying them. To be a twin in the modern world is to be fascinating, but open the historical record and the picture changes completely. For most of human history, across most of the world, twins were not a miracle. They were a problem, not a small problem, not an inconvenience, a crisis. The kind of event that could change the fate of an entire family, an entire village, depending on where and when you were born. And what happened next, what people actually did when twins arrived, is something most history books skip over entirely. This is that story. To understand it, you have to forget everything you know about modern childbirth. No hospital, no insurance, no second crib ordered off Amazon. You are a woman in a foraging band somewhere in sub-Saharan Africa, or the forests of South America, or the frozen north 10,000 years ago. Your group moves constantly, following animals, following seasons, carrying everything you own on your back. You are already nursing one child. That child needs years of breast milk to survive, because there is no formula, no soft food you can just mash up and spoon in. Nursing is life, and your body, stressed, underfed, constantly moving, can only do so much. Now imagine two. The math of survival was brutal and it was simple. One mother, one body, one supply of milk, one pair of arms for carrying. Twins doubled the demand overnight while the supply stayed exactly the same. And in a world where one bad season could kill half the camp, where a mother who died in childbirth left all her children at risk, where every calorie was earned through hours of dangerous work, doubling the burden was not just difficult, it was potentially fatal. Not just for the twins, for everyone around them. This is where the story gets dark, and it gets dark fast. For thousands of years, the arrival of twins forced a decision that no parent today can fully imagine. Not a medical decision, not a legal one. A survival decision made in the dirt, in the dark, sometimes within hours of birth. And the answer that came back, again and again, across cultures that never spoke to each other, separated by oceans and centuries, was disturbingly consistent. Anthropologists call it infant exposure, the deliberate abandonment or killing of a newborn. And while it existed for many reasons across many cultures, twins triggered it at rates that researchers found striking when they began comparing records in the late 20th century. This was not random. This was not rare. This was policy. Unwritten, unspoken, but passed down through generations like any other survival skill. In ancient Rome, the law was explicit. The 12 Tables, one of the earliest written legal codes in Western history, instructed fathers to destroy obvious deformities in newborns immediately. Twins were not listed as deformities, but Roman writers documented widespread abandonment of one or both twins as a matter of routine. Seneca wrote about it without horror. Pliny the Elder catalogued it alongside other facts of natural history. It was simply what happened. In parts of ancient Greece, the calculus was similar. Sparta, famous for leaving weak infants on hillsides, applied the same logic to twins when resources were scarce. One child could be raised into a warrior or a mother. Two was a gamble the city-state often refused to take. But Greece and Rome are only the beginning. Across sub-Saharan Africa, ethnographers in the 19th and 20th centuries documented twin-killing practices in dozens of distinct cultures, from the Igbo of Nigeria to groups across what is now Angola, Cameroon, and Mozambique. In many of these societies, the reasoning was not purely economic. Twins were seen as unnatural. One pregnancy was the work of one man. Two children meant something had gone wrong, something spiritual, something dangerous. The word used in several West African languages translated roughly as a contamination. Both mother and children were considered polluted. In some communities, the mother was exiled. In others, she was killed alongside the infants. In South America, early Spanish missionaries documented twin killing among multiple Amazon basin groups and were horrified enough to write about it at length, which is how we know. The Bororo, the Tapirape, and others saw twins as a sign that the spirit world had overstepped its boundary into the human one. The solution was to push it back. The pattern kept appearing. Different continents, different gods, different explanations. Same outcome. In 1931, a missionary named Helen Roseveare arrived in what is now the Democratic Republic of Congo and documented something that stopped her cold. A woman had just given birth to twins. Within the hour, the village elders had gathered. What happened next she wrote about in detail, because she could not believe it was still happening. She was not the first outsider to witness it. She was simply one of many who wrote it down, but the written record only goes back so far. For everything before literacy, we have archaeology. And archaeology, it turns out, has plenty to say. In 2019, researchers excavating a site in the Atacama Desert in northern Chile uncovered a burial pit containing the remains of two infants positioned identically, facing each other, hands touching. They were the same age, same size, same burial goods placed beside them. The positioning was deliberate, almost tender. But the dating told a colder story. These children were buried roughly 1,500 years ago in a region where, according to every ethnographic record available, twins were considered a rupture in the natural order. The tenderness of the burial did not contradict the grimness of the death. In many cultures, killing twins was done with ceremony, with grief, sometimes with genuine love. That made it harder to look at, not easier. The Atacama find was not unique. A site in ancient Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq, contained a double infant burial archaeologists dated to around 3000 BCE. Two newborns, same developmental stage, interred together outside the main cemetery, separated from the community even in death. Researchers from the University of Cambridge who analyzed the bones in 2017 noted that both infants showed no signs of disease or physical abnormality. They were healthy. They were buried together because of what they were, not what was wrong with them. In Egypt, the picture is more complicated but no less dark. Egyptian mythology held a conflicted view of twins. Some were considered sacred. The twin gods Shu and Tefnut appear in the earliest creation texts. But sacred and safe were not the same thing. Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, documented Egyptian communities along the Nile, where twin births were managed through ritual sacrifice of one infant offered to the gods precisely because twins were considered too powerful for ordinary human life. The divine had to take one back. The Romans documented similar practices among the Germanic tribes they encountered. Tacitus, writing around 98 CE, described communities in northern Europe where twin births were reported to village leaders immediately and decisions were made collectively. Not by the parents alone, because twins were not considered a private matter, they were a public one. A sign meant for everyone, and everyone had a say in what came next. What makes all of this harder to dismiss is the consistency. These cultures did not share trade routes in many cases. They did not share language, religion, or cosmology, and yet they kept arriving at the same place. Something about twins, two lives emerging from one body, violated a deep intuition about how the world was supposed to work. And for thousands of years, the response to that violation followed a pattern so widespread that researchers who study it today use a clinical term that flattens the horror into something almost manageable: selective neonaticide. The deliberate killing of one or both newborns based on perceived threat to group survival or social order. The clinical language helps no one who actually thinks about what it means. Now look at that photo of twins again. Same faces, same birthday, matching Halloween costumes, and behind them, invisible, 3 million years of human history. That history almost guaranteed they would never have made it. The shift happened slowly, and then all at once. Christianity spreading through Europe and Africa carried prohibition, an explicit prohibition against infant killing of any kind. Missionaries documented and fought twin killing practices. They fought across sub-Saharan Africa for 2 centuries. In 1915, a woman named Mary Slessor, a Scottish missionary who spent decades in Nigeria, she became identified with saving twins in Calabar. The local Efik people gave her a name. That name translated roughly as Great Mother. She reportedly ran through the bush herself to intercept infants before elders could reach them. She saved hundreds, possibly more. She died in Nigeria. She never went back to Scotland, but religion was only part of it. The deeper shift was material: agriculture, stored food, permanent settlements. Humans stopped moving and started accumulating. The brutal arithmetic of twins changed. You no longer needed to carry both infants. Across 30 miles of savannah, you had a house, you had grain, you had neighbors who could help. The survival calculation that drove twin killing dissolved, as the conditions that created it disappeared. and then medicine finished the job. Formula feeding meant one mother's body no longer had to sustain 2 children. Incubators meant premature twins survived. Neonatal intensive care units made death a manageable complication. Modern life turned the greatest reproductive liability into luck. But here is what sits underneath all of it. The parents in the Atacama burial pit were not monsters. They placed their twins facing each other with hands touching. The village elders in Congo were not uniquely cruel. The Romans who wrote about twin exposure were not broken. They were all running the same calculation. How do we survive this? For most of history, the answer was the same. We don't survive it with both of them. That is the distance between them and us. Not moral superiority, not better values, infrastructure, surplus, medicine, the accident of being born in a time when the math changed. Tonight, somewhere in an American hospital, a woman is giving birth to twins. There is a team of nurses, there are 2 warmers ready, there are 2 sets of everything prepared in advance. The hospital has done this before. It will do it again tomorrow. Nobody in that room is making the calculation that every generation before them made without thinking. That is not progress you can take for granted. That is 3 million years of brutal history ending. For now, in a single fluorescent room, the 2 people who come out will grow up. They will wear matching Halloween costumes. They have no idea how close the math once was, how close it was to going the other way.